Guys, he is an amazing actor. He's a big-time movie star. He's the coolest man on the planet. He's smiling creepily at me. Let's bring him out. The Ant-Man himself, Mr. Paul Rudd. You see it, right? You guys have no idea what's about to happen here.
Hi. Hey. Hey. Wow. I got to tell you guys right off the bat, I have just come from the Westin in Times Square where I had a giant pint of tequila and a bowl of cheese sticks. So, this is going to get ugly.
All to our benefit. Congratulations, my friend. This is a great piece of work. It's so exciting to see you in any movie, but a Marvel movie. You're a superhero. This is a moment that needs to be marked in an Apple Store event, I suppose.
It's only fitting.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal, I must say.
Yeah.
Not the Apple Store-ness of it all. I mean, that is surreal as well, but just all of it. Pretty crazy.
So have you been traveling the world on this one already? Tell me what is the differences in promoting something like this where you're the guy on a movie of this scale versus other films that you've publicized.
Well, there's more with this. It feels different. It feels bigger. More people are interested. Marvel has its a pretty solid fan base, and so it's it feels like this fast-moving train that all of a sudden just I got on and then like that. But as far as the world traveling aspect of it all, it hasn't been. It's been less than I thought. I was in Los Angeles for a few weeks doing some promotion, and then London. But in the past, when I've done some of the other movies, like some of Judd's movies, we've gone to Paris and Australia, all these places. It sounds very exotic, and it is pretty exotic to go to all these places, but you're in each place for about a day and in a hotel room, so you don't really even get to see anything. It's a bit of a bummer.
Had you ever, we talk about these Marvel films, and they have an amazing record that continues with this one. As a fan and as an actor, do you say along the lines in the last few years, get me a meeting? Is it just sort of like, oh, that ship has sailed, I'm not going to be a superhero, they don't think of me that way? Give me a sense of sort of like your perspective on the superhero phenomenon that was developing and how you saw, if you saw a place for yourself in it.
Well, I think most actors feel like, oh, well, this has been cool. I've done something here, like I did a comedy, and now I want to try something else, something different. Over the last few years, I've done primarily comedies, and I've always wanted to try and do different movies, different genres. I guess the Marvel universe was one I didn't see coming, and nothing that I thought, oh, I really want to try and get in that world. But when the opportunity presented itself, I was elated. I was really excited by it, and so it was a bit of a no-brainer for me, and kind of a shock, actually.
So when you get a gig like this, who are the first phone calls? Who do you need to tell, guys, I'm going to be a Marvel superhero?
Well, my family. I told my wife. I called my mom, some friends, a couple of friends, and then I couldn't. What was weird is like I didn't say anything for a while because they're pretty secretive about this stuff, and I have kids, so I couldn't tell them.
You don't trust your own children, is what you're saying.
Not as far as I can throw them.
So did you ever explain why is Daddy dressing up like a giant Ant-Man on set? Did you say like
they knew by that point?
Jig was up.
No, when I told my kids not that long afterward, but yeah, it was really only a few people that I kind of shared the news with at first.
So is preparation night and day versus? I mean, every film offers its own different kind of prep, but something like this, where physicality is obviously important,
right.
Is that the biggest difference in terms of prepping for this kind of a film versus others?
I think so. The pre-production and everything for this film obviously had a bit of a tumultuous road. But as far as the actual, like when I first got the job and then I started to train and prepare, the physical aspect was paramount. And so for about a year before we ever started shooting, I started working with like a a gymnastics coach, so I could learn how to do shoulder rolls and flips and things like that. Light parkour, emphasis on light.
Are you moving on to medium parkour now, or are you just sticking with light? What's the difference between light and medium?
Difference?
Yeah.
The difference between light parkour and medium parkour, it's a pretty big jump.
One you're not ready to make.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good night, everyone.
You guys are ahead of me. Good job.
Thanks. Parkour is the kind of thing, it's almost like violin. I got to believe that, like, it takes a while. You can't just pick it up. So, I started doing that, and then I started kind of also working with a trainer with, like, weight training and stuff like that, and then a nutritionist, all, like, that whole thing. And that became pretty much what my day was. Everything worked around that. So
are you throughout that process just like lifting up your shirt, counting the abs until it's ready? Like, not quite, almost there. I see something coming in, I think.
No, but it is that thing like where you just do it for so long and you're like, really? This is it? This is it's could be frustrating, but like anything else, you start to get into it, and then I really kind of enjoyed. I enjoyed having so much energy, like waking up in the morning at about 6 a.m. and like ready to start the day. That was the most never so foreign to me.
Are you gonna
woo fresh? I'm fresh as a daisy.
And now you're drinking giant tubs of tequila.
And now I'm at the Westin in Times Square.
This is how you celebrate your giant big superhero movie.
Yeah,
in the saddest way possible.
Hit all the hotel bars in Midtown.
If you're ever looking for Paul,
what tequila do you want? Just give me anything middle of the road.
Not medium, just the light.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just whatever's closest.
You also have the distinction, I believe, of being the first Marvel superhero that also get a writing credit on the film, which is kind of amazing. You and Adam McKay.
Adam McKay, yeah.
Obviously began with Edgar, and he still has a story credit, I believe, in
Yes.
there. Talk to me a little bit about...
And Joe Cornish as well.
Joe Cornish, his collaborator, amazing. Talk to me a little bit about the writing process and how... I mean, that must have been very rewarding that you get such a hand in this, you're not just a hired gun.
It was, although it was also daunting and unexpected. It happened because Edgar left the project and Marvel wanted, we were months away from shooting, and there was a script that seemed to, had gone through a couple of versions, and it was, they had some ideas, and then I had some ideas. Adam McKay came in, and he had some ideas. And then we just Adam is somebody I worked with on Anchorman, and he's he's the smartest guy in the room. And so we just started talking about some things we could do with the script as it existed. And then, we wanted to kind of go back to what Edgar and Joe had written as well, and incorporate some new ideas and expand some things. And it was really out of necessity. It wasn't... It wasn't anything more than that, and we got it to the place, I think a place that it needed to be before we started shooting. And then and when Adam and I came on to start writing, Peyton Reed came on. I want to say like a week later, and then we all worked on it together. Movies tend to be, and this is true. They are group efforts. It wasn't just us. There were other writers. Marvel had a couple of guys. Andrew Ferrari and Gabe, whose name I would be able to remember had I not had a tumbler of tequila.
You're in Ant-Man.
Andrew
just
and
so you
Gabe.
know. Okay, good.
Yeah. No, they were. We had guys on set incorporate like alt takes, different notes, all sorts of things. So, they are very collaborative endeavors.
I mean, and in talking to you guys and talking to like some of the scenes, Michael Pena almost steals this movie. He's so funny in this, and I get a sense that there's more, frankly, improv and alternate takes than probably normally happens on a more Marvel movie like this. And part of that maybe is Peyton comes from a comedic background, and as you're saying, you've got this script that's fluid, but you've got a lot of collaborators. I mean, was it a little bit more?
There wasn't a ton of improv. Not really. There with Pena a little bit. I mean, it depends. I like working that way, but not everybody likes to work that way. And Pena is like somebody that we're just kind of writing and then knowing, okay, I know that he's gonna bring some things to this, and that when we're shooting it, say like, hey, let's play around with it. And he loves to work that way. The guy's so quick and funny, and so there, some of the stuff with some of the scenes with Pena were a bit more improvisation than some of the other ones.
I think one of the cool things people will discover when they see this film is that it's a smaller film in some ways, in that the stakes of it are about this guy and his family. Yet, it still has like huge action and the huge effects that you would expect in a Marvel movie, and it's kind of going in a different direction, especially coming off of Avengers that got as ginormous as you can imagine a superhero film being. I mean, was that challenging, and was that sort of like the reason to do this in some ways, that you have a movie, spoiler alert, that kind of ends in a kid's bedroom as like the final?
Well, it was one of the things that I thought was really cool about it. It seems as if with each movie, the stakes are bigger, the landscapes are enormous. The last one was in space. The idea that some of these landscapes would look like alien landscapes, but were really, like you say, on a train set in a kid's bedroom. This idea that visually was going to be bananas and totally striking, yet on surfaces that we're all very familiar with. I thought that would be really cool, and it is.
This is also new territory for you, correct me if I'm wrong, just on the effects side of things, of like these scenes when you are shrunk down. I can't even imagine what that looks like for you. Was there a learning curve on that? Was it kind of easy to kind of not feel like an idiot when you're surrounded by nothing but?
Well, you feel like an idiot, first of all, just walking out of like the trailer where in that Andy Serkis ping pong ball suit that I'd never had that on before. And then it was in a, we did most of the stuff, we kind of went through all of the movie in we're on a sound stage, and it was this area surrounded by, I don't know, like 100 cameras. And then, the area was taped off, and I kind of went through the movie, and it's like, all right, I'm rolling out of the way. This is where my light parkour really came into play. Someone's gonna step on me. Oh, I gotta roll. Like jump out of the way and that kind of thing. And so, that was a new experience, and you feel a little self-conscious, but not too much, because every time I'm thinking, all right, well, the people that are going to make this look real are the best in the business. And I also thought it's going to be cool the way they do it, because it hasn't been done before. A lot of the surfaces, when I shrink down, you would think those are CGI, but they're not. When you look back at like the Incredible Shrinking Man or some of the shrinking things, it's everything else is practical. A chair is built and it's this big, or a microphone would be huge, but we didn't have anything like that. But we had a macro photography unit, so that whenever we were shooting the movie, there was a whole other unit going on that I never really saw, that was shooting the locations and shooting things close up. And they just put me in those locations. So when you are in a bathtub, it's the bathtub. And when you are in carpet, that's carpet. And it's not computer generated.
Did you do some binge watching of classics in the genre? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Inner Space?
I didn't go too heavy into the, I'd seen, Inner Space and Honey, I Shrunk the, I've seen all of those. But I didn't really revisit it. It's a heist movie, and I didn't really. I'd seen some heist movies. I did a thing. I was guest editor on IMDb today, and I was going to do a top 10 list of my top 10 heist movies. And there's so many of them that I love. But in kind of researching and going over, I realized, there are so many more that I haven't seen.
What's the top?
Well, Rafifi was my number one.
So classy that way. Yeah.
Well, it just sounds like a masterpiece, and it deserves the number one slot.
You've never seen
so
it,
I
have
did
you?
the
Yeah.
top 10 heist movies I've never seen. And there's some really great ones on there, so make sure and check it out. But it's that thing of like, oh, okay, yeah, you would think I'd go back and kind of watch every Shrinking movie. I'd watch every single heist movie, and I didn't. But that's because I'm not that great of an actor.
Well, let's see some of that not so great acting in this first clip from Ant-Man. No, it's an excellent scene between you and the lovely Evangeline Lilly, I believe. Let's check it out. Does it feel good to know that people like to see you punched in the face? I got a really big reaction.
That's a pretty good fake punch, I gotta say. She didn't really hit me, but it looks like she did. Movie magic, right?
Wait, people are awing like they want to see you actually punched in the face. What guys?
All right, who out there wants to punch me in the face?
Line them up.
Wait, too many hands going up.
Were superheroes big to you as a kid? Did you dress up as a superhero at any point?
I mean, I put the towel around my neck as a cape, I think, when I was in my 20s, but
This is the college
I did.
days.
Yeah, it's just
the frat thing.
yeah. So I had like some, I don't know. There was a while I was pretty into the Hulk, but I think I was in the Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby series. I got way into that, but it was short-lived, really. I wasn't a huge comic book reader as a kid. I liked them okay. I liked superheroes okay. And then I used to get these British comics sent to me from my relatives that I liked. They were kind of like funny comics. I used to read, I get the Archie Digest, Laugh Digest. People have said, like, do you know Ant-Man? I wasn't familiar with Ant-Man, but I could tell you anything about Mr. Weatherby and Pop's Chocolate Shop. Midge. I knew some of the deeper characters from the Archie world.
Who would you like to play in an Archie live action? We've never seen an Archie live action film.
Yeah, it's
A lot of reaction.
a
here.
Reggie, Archie. I don't hear a Jughead. And I don't hear a Midge. I suppose. I think I'd probably go Pop's Chocolate Shop. Run the shop. Oh, who am I kidding? Reggie. He's the coolest.
So, did you know? You must know. You have friends that have done this kind of a thing. It's a small club, but it's expanding by every year. Right. Did you talk to anybody that had been through this before and get any kind of tips about negotiating whatever it was, whether it's costume, the press, everything that goes along with a job like this?
I didn't really talk to anybody about any of that stuff, although when I got cast, I did talk to Chris Pratt a little bit. I saw him at an Oscar party. That's the way I roll. But I was talking to him at this.
To be fair,
did I mention it was an Oscar party?
to be fair,
So many people there. It's like, who do I talk to? Chris Pratt, or shall I go over there and insert myself in some conversation that nobody wants me around?
Your head was inside a margarita at the time. Let's be fair. It wasn't that classy.
Yeah, I was swimming in a pool of Jameson.
What did Pratt say? Yeah.
No, I talked to Chris Pratt a little bit, and I said, what was it like for you, and how has this whole experience been kind of in this Marvel world? And he was great. He told me, he said, have you ever been to Comic-Con? And I had never been to Comic-Con. And he said, that's a lot of fun, and you'll be amazed at how many people are there and how nice they'll make you feel so welcome. It's kind of like the greatest thing. And he said Marvel's really, like, he loved working with them. He said they have lots of ideas, and they're kind of, they take chances, and they're creative, and he had just the greatest stuff to say. And that's I did find that to be the case.
This also might be the first Halloween where people are dressed up as one of your characters. I don't know. Have any of your characters have you ever seen somebody dressed up as
last Halloween, the streets were filled with everyone dressed as my character from Over Her Dead Body. And then some people dressed as Ava Longoria from that one, too. No, I don't think I've ever been in a Halloween costume. No.
It's a new thing. So
Well,
what's-
no, some people have dressed as Brian Fantana. I have seen Anchorman costumes, but that might be it.
Speaking of the costume, I think this next clip has you in all your Ant-Man glory. So let's take a look at this one, shall we? Just to note a theme recurring, people are continuing to clap and laugh when you are being injured. And
Nothing funnier than somebody hitting their head, you know? It works every time. It's like a spit take.
the costume's pretty cool. It's
Costume is awesome. It really, if I may interrupt your question.
no, it was just an observation. Go on.
Let me tell you about my costume, Josh. No, I the first time I saw it, I thought, man, it's just so cool looking, and especially the helmet. Like when I saw that helmet for the first time, it kind of reminded me of how I felt about the Stormtrooper helmets when I was a kid. And I used to draw this. I just thought the Stormtrooper helmets were really, really cool. And same thing with the surgeon droid for some reason from Empire Strikes Back. I always thought like had kind of a similar. Then I would think back to my action figures. But I had that same thing where like, God, that's such a coolly. It's like the design of the helmet is great. And then, I went through more than a few fittings. They're very particular about all of the details. And so the first time I tried it on, it was just a trip. And standing kind of like as they're making all their marks and stuff like that, I would stand differently. I would just think, man, this is it. This is the suit.
And you've gotten, since shooting Ant-Man, you've already shot, I don't know if you're done, on the new Captain America movie.
That's right, yeah.
Have they made alterations to your liking? Did you, after the first one, be like, I need a little room here, a little help here? What's the second iteration versus the first?
Yeah, there was no, I mean, the suit, it is a little bit, there are some differences. There wasn't anything where I thought, oh, I need more room here or less, none of that. But, just story-wise, it seems to make sense that maybe I've worked on it a little bit.
We're about
so
to
the design of it is a little different.
We're going to turn it over to you guys for questions in just a moment. Before that, I selfishly want to ask one non-Ant-Man related question. Wet Hot American Summer is upon us.
Couple weeks away.
What can you tell us about what we can expect from this one?
Well, it's really funny. I haven't seen them all, but I've read them all. And, the movie, I think some of you might know this, the movie took place on the last day of camp, and we were all 15 years older than we were supposed to be when we shot that. Well, now we're 15 years older from when we shot the movie, and the show is the first day of camp, so it's technically a prequel. So we're all about 25 to 30 years too old for the parts that we're playing. But I was, it kind of came about pretty quickly. It had been talked about for a while. I never really knew in what incarnation, whether there would be a movie or if it was really going to happen. But it came together pretty quickly, and everyone that was involved in the movie said, yes, for sure. And it's like, at first kind of, do we want to revisit this? People really love this movie. You don't want to, and I just started reading the very first script and was on the floor, and it completely captures, I think, the humor and what works about the movie. And it's insane.
I would hope.
It's so,
That's what I want.
It's so insane and stupid.
Let's see if you guys have some questions. I'm going to preemptively be bad cop. If you guys can not ask for autograph or human contact, Mr. Rudd, I will be a human shield.
And please, whatever you could do, try to avoid eye contact with me.
You can look at him, just don't
It'll
assault
be a
him.
little bit like an eclipse. If you have a paper card, shield your eyes.
It's like the sun. First question. Yeah.
I want to talk about the commercial you did for Super Nintendo back in the 90s. How was that experience for you, did? And since you were the Super Nintendo kid, had you been, you visited the Nintendo store because of the recent loss of the Nintendo president and pay a tribute to that, since you were doing Jimmy Fallon the other day, I heard.
This is the first time anyone's asked me about that commercial. One of my very first jobs. I remember shooting it, and I was very excited because it was a national. and I remember I wore a very long coat. It went down to my ankles. And despite the fact that I am kicking ass on the Nintendo system in the commercial, it did not reflect my actual Nintendo skills at the time. And this is what I do remember that the year it came out, maybe later in the year after it kind of gone off the air already, it was the NCAA basketball, like the Final Four or something. And it might have been the championship game, and they had the beginning of the game. They used that commercial where I went and jammed the thing into the console, and I'm playing it. And then on the screen at the drive-in, which is part of the commercial, they were just showing basketball highlights and making it look like I was controlling college basketball players. And I swear it was like I won the Oscar. I couldn't believe I'd like made it. And all of my friends were calling me saying, dude, you're in the finals. And that's what I remember most from that commercial.
Hello. First of all, I just want to say you are one of my favorite actors. I'm not just saying that because you're here. I literally say that to anyone I talk to.
Oh,
so
thank you very much.
I love everything you do. But I have not lived here long enough to see you on the stage. And so I was wondering if you have any desires or any wants to go back to that. And if so, before you even ask, yes, I am available to audition. So just
Very good.
let me know. I am available.
All right. And you're Actors Equity?
I can be. I'm an engineer. So
Oh, perfect.
I can, yeah. It fits
Excellent.
right in. It fits right in.
All right, we'll talk.
Okay.
I have no plan as of yet to do a play, although
Musical?
or a musical. I think that would be a blast. I have always tried. I've lived in New York for 20 years, and the reason that I live in the city, besides the fact that it's the greatest city in the world, is that the theater community is actually a vibrant and viable thing here. And I always have hoped to have a career where I can do movies and continue to go back and do plays. And that certainly is the case still. So while I have nothing planned, hopefully, like within the next couple years, I'll be able to do another play.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
What are they gonna? What is it like? You know, being with most of the Avengers, like Iron Man or Captain America, Black Widow, versus being in your own movie, in your own standalone with your usual guys. And as for Ant-Man, what is it like working with Evangeline Lilly? Because I seen her in The Hobbit before. And I thought she did great. I just want to know what she's like from your point of view.
Well,
And about Captain America: Civil War.
right. I'll answer the Evangeline one first. The latter question first. Working with Evangeline was great. I never met her. I didn't know her before this movie, but I knew who she was because I watched Lost, and I'd seen The Hobbit as well. Yeah, and so it's like you're talking and getting to know each other, and you're kind of focused on the script, and then I just I'm like, what's Sawyer like? Those are the kind of questions I want to have. And she would answer them. So it was that was pretty cool. As far as working on Captain America 3, it was pretty mind-blowing, actually. People ask me, since I got this job, they'd say, how does it feel to be part of the Marvel Universe? And it was really cool. And it is really cool. And when we were shooting Ant-Man and I'm walking around in that suit, it feels really exciting. And real, but we're in a bubble. Then when I went to go to that set, it became real in a way that I didn't even feel shooting Ant-Man, because there they were. And what's Robert Downey Jr. was there, yes, and Chris Evans. I have scenes where I was talking to them. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, Tony Stark, huh? And I'm like, oh my God. And I completely turned into a 10-year-old. Where I get kind of dressed in the suit. There's they have like kind of their changing area, and so it's like on a stand. I'm like, whoa, there's the Winter Soldier arm. So I kind of like went over, and I was just like, dang, man. And then And then, Chris Evans was shooting it as Shield, and he had to go do something, so he just gave the shield to the Russell, the prop guy. And I just went over and said, Can I see it? Can I see it? I put my hand in there, like, wow. It became very real in this way that, wow, there they are. And so I have said, I said this the other day, somebody asked, like, so do you feel like you're part of it now? And the only way I could even describe it was I felt like Cousin Oliver to the rest of the Brady Bunch. Like, it's like, I do. I guess technically I'm in the family, but, I guess you could say it's like Sam to the rest of the Drummond family.
Cousin Oliver gave a dose of life to that show. I mean, it kind of injected.
I don't know if, yes, that's the difference. They don't need me to inject with life. But it is like the new kid in school.
I know you mentioned that you do parkour and you saw a nutritionist, but I wanted to know specifically what your meal plan was like, only because we recently joined a gym and we're trying to get abs. And then Josh, I know you said, I follow you on Instagram, and I know you said no human contact, but I wanted to know, since I love Happy, Sad, Confused.
I'm not on
Josh,
Instagram, so I don't know who you're
I'm talking
following.
to Josh. It's a two-part question for Josh. So yours is the meal plan. Josh, you do Happy, Sad, Confused on Instagram, and I follow you, and I wanted to know if I could do that with you, and if Paula would be in it, then that would be great, too.
Oh.
Why don't you take yours and I'll formulate an
Okay.
answer.
What I was eating was just, I was eating at very specific times too. That was a thing. I was eating, I'd wake up and I'd have some eggs, and black coffee. And then around 10:30, I would make a protein shake. I ate a lot of proteins. I ate like a lot of lean meat and fish and that kind of thing, and vegetables, but not all vegetables. I didn't really have any fruit. And then I would make another protein shake. I would occasionally have some raw almonds. And I would eat at 6 o'clock at night, and I would generally have like a salad, vegetables, actually very little protein. And then, if I really wanted to give myself a treat, I would have seltzer. And that's how I rewarded myself after a day of good behavior, by having, instead of water, carbonated water.
I will, of course, do Happy, Sad, Confused with you afterwards. We can't make an exception for Mr. Rudd. He's a in-demand man, but stick around after. I'll be here.
Yeah, I won't do that. No, I would, but not really.
But he just did it back there. We
I
can
just did-
composite
yeah.
you in.
You'll see it
We
on
can composite,
Instagram
yeah.
soon.
What was going on in Scott Lang's mind when he's transitioning from Ant-Man into Captain America's Civil War? And who would you like to face off in Civil War? And why, of course?
Well, this is the kind of thing I start to answer this question, and all of a sudden sirens go off and poisonous darts get shot into my neck. You know what? I can't give any of the details about any of that stuff away, but I reckon what was going through Scott's mind was not so unlike what was actually going through my own mind. Yeah. Which was, wow, I'm here. Yeah, and I don't think, do you want to go up against any of those guys? They all seem pretty tough. Yeah, I can hold my own.
Two questions. First of all, I'm curious, what was A, Judd Apatow, and B, Will Ferrell's reaction to you being cast as Ant-Man? And second of all, what goes through your mind whenever you're in public and the song Yamo Be There by Michael McDonald plays in the background?
Do you mean, do I want to Yamo burn any place to the ground, right? I think with those guys, they were excited for me when I got this part. I haven't really talked to either of them, so in depth. All this stuff about getting in shape, I know Judd, when I've talked to him in the past, he's always just been like, ugh. He always wants me to go the opposite way. He always makes me eat a lot of food to work on his movies, because he wants me to look like him. That's why I'm always eating in the movies. Yeah, in regard to here, yeah, like the Michael McDonald, like that guy's an amazing singer. First, Michael McDonald, and I just remember Yamo Be There. I never really knew what it meant. I remember as a kid growing up, but I was hear Yamo Be There. I was like, what is that? But he seems very cool. I always liked him just because he did the last song to the South Park movie and like crushed it. And you listen to that, you go like, oh, he's hilarious. So I always felt kind of guilty. I always feel guilty about it. I don't want to ever reference anybody in any of those movies, but I do sometimes anyway. And then I just feel terrible about them. And then I just hate myself. But it's like, it's a good joke. You got to kind of, won't just be hated by Michael McDonald.
So now that you've been a superhero, what kind of role are you itching to do next? That you've gone all the way up to having superpowers. So now, what are you itching to do? Like, what's next?
Well, I would like to do something. I mean, even before this, I would like to do something that people would really not think of me for. Something that is maybe a darker kind of role, or a bit more dramatic. I'm interested in lots of different things, and I like lots of different things. And I haven't gone about my career necessarily with the kind of very focused effort of mixing it up intentionally because I was just in a comedy, so now I want to do something darker. I really kind of look at each thing as it comes and think, oh, are these people that I really like working with, or do I really like this role or this script? And is it going to be a fun experience? And I want to enjoy the ride. So that plays a big part. And I certainly have. But I'd like to try and do some things that, a lot of people went, huh? When I got cast for this part. I would like to do more parts where people would go, huh? When I get cast in them.
If you needed to fight any of the Avengers, who do you think you would beat? Oh, I have two questions. Who do you think you could beat if you had to fight one of the Avengers?
Well, I mean, I'm fairly confident in my own abilities. I always think like you can't fight what you can't see.
Okay.
And I'm tough to see.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think any of them would put up a pretty good fight, but I feel good. I feel good about my chances.
Okay.
With any of them.
My second question is a little weird, and you can say no, but my
No.
high school. You didn't even wait for me to finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's the tequila talking.
My high school, we do this thing where we try to get shout outs from people that we admire. And I was wondering if I could get one from you. No physical contact
No,
required.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Okay, all you would have to say is, the Lourdes class of 2016 runs this.
The Lord's
Class
of 2016
runs
this.
Okay.
Yep, you ready?
Hold on. Ready, set, go.
Hey guys, you know what I think?
What?
I think the Lord's class of 2016 runs this.
All right, guys, let's give it up for Mr. Paul Rudd. Ant-Man opens
Thank you so
tomorrow.
much.
Check it out.